Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you're here to talk about books. Today I will be doing my February wrap up, and I have to say, February was weird. I had a lot of ups and downs, a lot. Everything from 5 stars to DNFs to I think I even gave a book 1.5 stars, which, we don't do star ratings here anymore, but it was just all over the place, insane, high highs, low lows, and a little bit of everything in between. In the month of February, I attempted 15 books. I, however, had one of my highest months of DNFs in a while, and that would be 4. So 11 in total that I completed, which is a lot for me in February because usually in February I am very busy, and it has flip-flopped. In March, I have been very busy. In February, I read 1 romance, 7 fantasy, 1 dystopian, 2 mysteries, 1 horror, 1 literary fiction, and 1 science fiction. Now, I did make a boo-boo in pages read, so it's probably closer to my average than what this details because I actually forgot to go back and change the actual number of pages read for the books that I DNF'd. And it says 5,486. That's really high. I don't think I got there. There were some that I did go back and change, but I think I forgot to do it for a couple of them. So I am now at 48% fantasy, which is kind of correcting itself. I said that it would. I did read 1 book for my SPSFC reads for the semifinals this month, but aside from the other dystopian novel, there was no sci-fi read, which is what was skewing my numbers in the first place. And my women authors is going way up with 48.1, so again, correcting itself. But let's go ahead and get into the books that I read this month. Starting things off, the book that I was finishing, or started in January and finished in February, that would be Temple of No God by H.M. Long. I really enjoyed this series. However, the second installment didn't quite hit as hard for me as the first. This is very much people going to war. It's Norse inspired. The gods have abandoned them. Now people are at war amongst themselves. And we have a few heroes who have special powers, and they're still connected to the gods. However, things are starting to crumble for the people of this world. And this one drug a bit. And so I had a hard time getting into it, even though I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the way everything went down in the first book. I do still plan on reading Borrow of Winter. This one, I still recommend the series, but this one just didn't quite hit like the first one did. I am hoping that Borrow of Winter will be a bit better, but I don't know, kind of on the fence with this. I do think that if this had been the first book in the series, I would have DNF'd this series. But we have Hessa, who has these powers and has kind of been a leader to her people and is seen as a leader in this world, and she can cross over into the land of the gods. And it's a really cool concept, and it's a really cool execution for the most part. It's just slow. And there's a thing with her relationship in this book that it was weird. It was weird. That's all I can say, is that relationship didn't need to be there. That's all I can say. But yeah, like I said, this one, I still recommend, but definitely not as strong as the first installment of the series. Next, I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I did not like this one as much as The Love Hypothesis, but I really liked this one. And I think Ali Hazelwood just gets me as far as romance goes. I really love her fan fiction writing style. I love that she sticks to her tropes because I love those same tropes. These books are very aware of themselves. They are like super, super self-aware. They know what they're doing, and I think that's great. Because so often in romance, it's going to be cheesy, but sometimes this just leans into the cheesy, or it leans into its own tropes and calls them out. And I really, really enjoy that. I really, really enjoy that. I don't think it was this one, but I know oh, I think it is The Love Hypothesis, actually talks about how the one bed trope in romance, like, they actually call it out. Like, oh my gosh, there's one bed. If this was a romance novel, you know. But anyway, they're very self-aware, very self-aware. I really liked the relationship in this one. And like I said, I don't think I loved it as much as The Love Hypothesis, but it's still a book I would highly recommend. I highly recommend Ali Hazelwood, just point blank. I have read all of the books that she has released so far, I do believe. So I'm looking at Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, Under One Roof, Stuck with You, Below Zero. There might be one of the novellas that I haven't read yet, and I did see that there is a bind up of the novellas in hardback form. I might buy it, like, just to complete my Ali Hazelwood set. But yeah, it was great. It was great. These are so fun. Now, I don't think I'm going to read this 3 times throughout the year like I did The Love Hypothesis last year, but still very, very good. The next book I read is part of my I'm going to find fantasy romance with a good fantasy plot. I don't know if this actually can be that. A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I want it to be. I want to be like, yes, this has a great fantasy plot. It has a good fantasy plot. This is more urban fantasy, though, than I thought it was going to be. And there are some things about it that I didn't quite love. I liked it, but I didn't quite love. However, I love this relationship. I love this relationship, Hades and Persephone. And we have Soft Hades, which I just adore. And if you guys have ever read my fan fiction, you'll know I love taking these hardened characters and making them soft. And so it's a trope I can get on board with very easily. But I absolutely love this. I'm actually really eager to pick up the rest of this series. I have heard that it starts to fall off a little bit plot-wise, and the relationship can get a bit redundant later on in the series. But this installment, highly recommend. Highly recommend. I enjoyed it so much. And like I said, there are some things that I didn't love, but it was because this was more urban fantasy than fantasy, and I was really expecting more play with the gods than what we got. There is some play, some back and forth, and some of it is expected, some of it's a little unexpected, but it was just, something fell off for me whenever, you know, we're not getting gods in their natural habitat, I guess you could say. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. Highly recommend it. Does it fit the romance with a great fantasy plot? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good fantasy plot, but I don't think it's great. Next, I attempted to read The Bear and the Nightingale. We all saw this coming. Everyone who knows me saw this coming. I DNF'd it. No one was surprised. Absolutely no one was surprised. And I have heard that I will probably love books 2 and 3 of the series if I could get through book 1. I could not get through book 1. It was really, really, really slow. The pacing of it was just atrocious to me. I know this is a very well-loved series, so I just can't handle that slow pacing. I really hate when books start slow because I cannot get into them. Like, give me a snappy beginning. You know, it doesn't have to continue that way, but just pull me in. This did not do that. Not at all. And I do not like slice of life novels. I do not like cozy. And the point to what I read, we were getting a lot of cozy vibes. We were getting atmosphere like crazy. So it was really good atmosphere. And that's kind of why everyone thought I might enjoy it, because Gothic novels kind of have that really great atmosphere. They're lush writing and stuff like that. Like you get in Bear and the Nightingale. Just that slice of life beginning really did not settle well with me, and I DNF'd it. I couldn't, it's not the book for me, and that's fine. There's plenty more books out there that are for me, and my March TBR is attempting to figure out what those books are. But this one, not it. And then I read City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. Surprisingly enough, I'm going to be hypocritical. This was too fast-paced for me. I am a middle of the road, leaning towards fast-paced, but don't really like breakneck books all that much. And this is breakneck. It is breakneck. And I was confused through the beginning of this book. And the more we shifted POVs, the more confused I became. And so I had a hard time at the beginning keeping everything straight. Now, let me say, I listened to this on audio, so that might be part of the problem. I don't have a physical copy, so I wasn't following along. But that, I mean, and that could have hindered part of my understanding, because I really prefer to immersive read. Regardless of what I'm reading, I really prefer to immersive read everything. But I only had the audio, and like it page after page after page after page of action upon action upon action. Now, that being said, I do recommend this, and I do think I will continue with this series. It's just going to have to be immersive. I'm going to have to purchase the series. I'm going to have to buy the physical books and follow along, which, like I said, that's what I prefer to do anyway, but it's going to be necessary with the coming books. Now, I did really like the characters in this, and I know the characters change like with every book because they are companion novels. They're not exactly a series, but I am interested in this world, and I'm very interested in what happened at the end of this book. So I do think, like I said, I will continue, but I'm going to have to get my hands on some physical books, so that I can immersive read them. Okay, another hypocritical statement is about to come out of my mouth because I read a cozy sci-fi, a dystopian, and I loved it. I loved it. And it was very, very unexpected. That would be Clara and the Sun. This is likely going to make my top reads of the year, if not my favorite book of the year. And I absolutely love Clara. I love the relationship between Clara and the girl she takes care of. I love the relationship between Clara and the Sun. And I adored everything about this. It was so precious. Clara is precious. There is a relationship in here between the sick young girl and a friend that's just heartwarming and heart-wrenching at the same time to read. And Clara is an AI who is really trying to understand and observe human interaction and emotion, and she kind of gets it. She kind of gets it, but being an AI, she doesn't always understand. And she really tries to do what's best for the sick girl that she is taking care of, but she has this relationship with the Sun where she thinks the Sun is a healer and a god. And that the Sun will always provide whatever she needs because she's an AI. She's solar powered, so this tracks. It makes sense. But she is a cinnamon roll, and I love her. I would die for Clara. Read this book, please. I highly recommend it. It's so good. Like I said, this is likely to become either my favorite book of the year or at least one of my favorite books of the year. I know the deck is stacked against this book because we have some final books to series that I love coming down the line, but this was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I have to thank my friend Andrew for buying this for me because it was a shot in the dark. Whether or not I was going to like this book. We both like literary fiction. We both like sci-fi, but this leans more towards the character-driven thematic read that he loves, and I don't always like usually I don't like them at all, but this hit the mark. It hit the mark and it did it perfectly. Next, I picked up a adult fairy lyric book, and that would be Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I really enjoyed this. I love the dark atmosphere. I love the storytelling. I really enjoyed the mystery. I loved the hints of magic that you get throughout. And I don't know that I went into this knowing it was more a mystery thriller with magical aspects than a fantasy. I think someone told me that. I think I had heard that. But I had no expectations going in. And I enjoyed it. Did I love it? No, but I do have, well, my niece really, really enjoys this type of book. And because I have a Fairy Loot edition, I'm just going to give this to her. She's going to absolutely love this, I think. And I think she's going to love this. I say my niece, it is my nephew's wife. So don't think I'm giving this to a little kid. But the writing in here is really good, really atmospheric. It lends itself well to the mystery. This is Gothic leaning. I don't know that I would actually call it a Gothic novel, but it is very Gothic leaning with the atmosphere and the magic and the family dynamics and stuff like that we've got going on here, and returning to a small town and having a history in this small town. But yeah, it's just so good. Like I said, it's not my favorite type of story, so that's why I'm passing it on. Like, I have a special edition of it, like I said. And yeah, I'd recommend this. I would really recommend this, especially if you like a little bit of speculative elements to your mystery novels. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Rayburn. This is cheesy. This is the cheesiest thing I've ever read, and I did not like it. I ended up DNFing it with, I think I read about half of it, and I was like, nah, fam, this is not for me. This was not for me. I was expecting some cheese, because this is about 60-year-old assassins who are about to be assassinated themselves, and they're trying to get away. So I was expecting some cheese. I was very much expecting Golden Girls with an assassin flair. Some of that was provided, but here's the thing. In Golden Girls, the characters take center stage, and they are the reason you watch. The story is not all that important. You're just watching these characters and loving these characters. The character work in here is not very good. It's not. And so there's no way to like cling to any one person. There's no way to get invested in the story, because it's cheesy. It's really cheesy. And I expected so much more from this book. So I ended up just DNFing it. This will be available on my Pingo bookshop if anybody wants it. Next, I read another favorite for me. It's going to be a favorite of the year. I know it. And if this one doesn't make my favorites of the year, it's because the final book in the series will take its place. But Call of the Bone Ships by R.J. Barker was so good. Absolutely fantastic. I love Lucky Me's. I love this whole cast. I really do. This whole cast of characters is just fantastic. And there's so much happens in this book that I can't even really begin to tell you what it's about. Trying to sum up the Tide Child trilogy is hard. We have pirates. We have a crew that is made up of semi-unlikable people, semi-unlikable characters, rough characters. Let me just say rough characters. And we have Lucky Me's, who is just trying to make the world a better place, but she oftentimes fails. And the person that she's fighting against is her mother. So there's a lot of dynamics there to unpack. But I love this. I cannot wait to get to the Bone Ship's Wake. It's so good, guys. It's so good. So good. Highly, highly recommend Tide Child. Oh, next. I read The War of Two Queens, or I tried to, by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And guys, let's just say what needs to be said. I'm no longer invested in the series. I really wanted to love it again. I really wanted to love it again, but that third book really killed the series for me. I wasn't sure if the third book had actually killed the series for me, or if it was just, there was so much I didn't like about it that I was disappointed. No. This is the fourth book of the series. I didn't care for it at all. I didn't care about the characters, which I should be invested at this point, but I think splitting, there's so many spoilers here. So many spoilers because it's the fourth book. So there is something about these books that I want to happen. And it's alluded to so much from the third and fourth book, and it never happens, that it irks me. And then there is, oh, I can't say that. It's spoilery. Anyway, let's just say I'm no longer invested in this. I don't like being teased about something and not being delivered on it. And I don't like when you've established all of this backstory and then just throw it out the window. I can't stand that. So there's so much about it that I was just like, no, we're done. We are done with this series. From Blood and Ash was fantastic. The second book, fantastic. Third book, completely just killed the series for me. And I DNF'd this one. I DNF'd it. I couldn't take it. We're done. I'm done with that series. We are marking that off the list. Series I am continuing. Bye-bye. Next, I picked up The Depths by Nicole Esperance. This is a Outgrate book, so it's very fancy. And there we go. Like, it's very fancy. So I really enjoyed this one. This is a Gothic novel set on an island. And for a young adult Gothic, I thought it was pretty good. I'd recommend it. I don't know that I would highly recommend it, but I'd recommend it if this is something that you're into. Now, I did have a little bit of an issue with how everything went down. Like, the execution of it wasn't the greatest, but there was a lot of creepy stuff going on in here. There was a lot of intrigue going on in here, and there was a lot of trying to determine what was actually going on the island. And then there is a huge reveal of who the big bad is going on in here. Now, I did see a lot of it coming. But this is young adult, so I try not to judge it too harshly based on that. If you like Gothic novels, totally worth the read. If you're trying to get into Gothic novels, totally worth the read. But like I said, I recommend it, but I don't think it'll ever be a favorite. And I think this one might be easily forgettable for me because I've read a lot of Gothic novels. And so this one just gonna kind of hang out in my head until I just kind of forget about it. But I did think it was pretty good. Just the execution of it wasn't the greatest. So the next book that I tried to read would be Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I didn't like this. No. I have said before, I don't like slice of life novels. Not at all. I don't like them. And while I could see that this would be a book that a lot of people love, a lot of people have loved it. It's won Book of the Year all over the place. No, I didn't care for it. Slice of life is just never going to be for me. Never. But it's funny, I got to where I DNF'd it, and I was like, okay, sending it to the Pango bookshop. It sold within 6 hours. That's how well loved this book is. But it's just not for me, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with us all liking different things. And then I read Those Left Behind, which would be my SPSFC to read for the month, which I am going to have to tackle more. Like, I have 6, or I have 5 left, I guess, now. Woohoo! I loved this. So this reads very Mass Effect. If you guys know anything about me, you know I love Mass Effect. It does have some points where it's very repetitive. It does have some points where it drags. It does have some points where things are rushed, but I still really enjoyed it. The pacing is off. That's basically what I'm saying here. There's a lot of pacing issues with this book, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my time with this book. I really enjoyed my time with these characters. This is a series that I do plan to continue after SPSFC and after I've read the rest of the SPSFC books. But I liked it. I really liked it. And like I said, it's very Mass Effect. We start off with a crew of people setting off from a space station only to find out that they are not the first to leave this space station or the first humans to be in this world that they thought that they were going to discover. And it's really cool. It's really cool the way things go down. There's mutiny. There's all sorts of stuff. There's great aliens in this world. And if you guys know, I love me some T.A. Bruno. I love A Song of Chimeria. And discovering the aliens is something I love a lot. But yeah, so much is going on in this. And if you like books like The Last Watch and things like that, I think you'll really like this book. Oh, next would be the book that I did not care for, and I do not recommend. Unless you are just a die-hard Dark Academia fan. When you get onto Book of the Month, you get a tiny blurb and you get the genre. from the book. You don't get much. And basically, it's kind of jumping into the books blind with just a little taste of what's to come and not much else. So The Cloisters by Katie Hayes was labeled as gothic thriller. This was not gothic, nor was it thrilling. Neither one of the two. This is a mystery set in dark academia, and these people are horrible, and I hated them all, and I hated the setting, and I hated everything about this book. I hated it. And I kept waiting for like the gothic elements to come into play. No, like there's tarot, but the tarot is barely discussed. Like only in the academic field, only in an academic way are these tarot discussed. Now, I know things start to happen towards the end where we're really starting to question what's going on. The way things played out, I didn't even care. I didn't even care. And like I said, these characters are horrible people. And so bad things happening to them, good. Like, I don't care. Maybe you deserved it. But, oh, no, hated it. And like I said, I do not recommend this book unless you are a diehard dark academia fan and just need more dark academia. That's it. And like I said, high highs, low lows, but another that might just become a favorite of the year for me would be The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. Now, I picked this up on a whim because I wanted a gothic novel on my birthday and I didn't get it with The Cloisters. This delivered. It delivered on everything I love about a gothic novel. This has a creepy estate that we are introduced to. This has characters that toe the line of, is this real? Is it magic? Are we dealing with the Fae? What's going on here? Loved this. Roshani Chachki's writing is really good, and it's really atmospheric. It's lyrical. It very much lends to the gothic style of writing. And if you like gothic novels, I think you're gonna love this. If you don't like gothic novels, I think you're probably gonna hate this because this is very much a gothic tale, and adored it. I adored it. I'm so happy that I have a special edition of this book. I think with Fairy Loot, I'm happiest that I have this and A Dowry of Blood. Like those two, I have absolutely loved. Undertaking of Heart and Mercy is probably another, but like I would have sought out a special edition of this and Dowry of Blood. But yeah, absolutely loved this. Highly recommend. Again, this is in contention for my favorite books of the year already. Like I already know that this will be there, but so good. So atmospheric, so gothic, great mystery. All of the elements of gothic novels just is done so well in this book. All right, that is it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. Don't forget, I have a Patreon if you would like to support my channel, but have a great day. Bye.